So Will Smith, Will Smith, Will Smith. We all know what happened at the Oscars.
Oh, wow. Wow. Danger.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay?
And I want to talk about it. Like, I see both sides. I always see both sides. But today I have Judita De Silva, the most intelligent. How else should I describe you?
Just general awesomeness just oozing out of my person.
The all-knowing. Okay, so tell me your thoughts on Will Smith. Are you on his side? Whose side are you on?
But basically, I'm actually going to say something so shocking now. I'm actually on the side of racist white people.
Ooh.
Yeah. In this particular instance, that's what I mean. Like, my brain is hot because I've literally been talking about this and typing and texting about this for like the past 2 days.
But here's the question, because what side are racist white people on? Because what I've seen going on social media is it's really mainly black men that are really against Will Smith for this, and I haven't gotten a sense that racist white people really care, because they're like, oh, black on black crime, whatever, right? But I think for me, what I see when I think about the black men, specifically black men in America that are so against Will Smith, to me, what I see is that for them, they're just so used to not supporting black women. And it's almost like this hatred. How dare this man hit another black man over a black woman? So like, that's what I read when I see all this anger. People like Kevin Samuels were coming for Will Smith. Everybody's coming for him about August Alsina. But for me, I'm just like, you hate black women that much that you feel this much distaste in by seeing a black man defend his wife who has a sickness. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me know your thoughts.
Like that 100%, because that's why I say it's like, why I'm on the side of racist white people, it's basically the gatekeepers of the Oscars. It strikes at the very heart of what Jada Pinkett was trying to do in 2016, where she says, build your own things. Why are we waiting for the crumbs from their table? Build your own things. Let's boycott. Let's move on. Let's build. Because the reason why Black people want to get into the Oscars, the reason why it's the most hallowed night of entertainment in the world, white people built it to be that. And they didn't want you to be part of it. What you have done with this action is hand them a silver bullet. This was the blackest Oscars they've ever done. Will Packer was directing it. There was a black director of music. Two of the three hosts were black. They had Meg Thee Stallion, who's the #1 female rapper of the moment. They had Beyonce open it. Think about what the Oscars were when we were growing up. If you get nominated, it's an honor because you get to perform on the Oscars stage. She's now at a stage where I'll perform in Compton, I'll do what I want, and they let you do what you want.
I mean, she's Beyonce. Let's also acknowledge the fact that they need the ratings. They haven't had this type of publicity in years. We've been going to the Oscars for a while, and we've been watching it decline every year. So they've brought a new sense of relevance to the Oscars, even though, yes, it's not classy or whatever, however you want to put it. But hey, people are talking about the Oscars. People that probably didn't grow up knowing what it was. The young kids now, they're like, oh, what's that? Now they know what it is.
But this is the key thing. That's why I say it's kind of like James Bond. The Oscars is a thing that has to naturally die out. Because based on what the Oscars is, the minute you dilute it or try to metamorphosize it, it's no longer the Oscars. Because I tell you this, Kenim, the reason why Black people get so bothered when they're not included is because of that thing that you've built, that illustrious, prestigious thing that seems so out of reach. It's the pinnacle of white fantasy.
Okay.
And you want to be part of that. The minute you turn it to make everybody, it's a free-for-all, it's the Grammys. And look at what's happening to the Grammys.
What's happening to the Grammys?
Where it's like, Drake might show up, he might not. Beyonce might show up, he might not. Everyone's saying it's irrelevant. For you to get an Oscars ticket, you show up. You behave yourself. You say thank you and please. You look the best you've ever looked in your life. They've built that up because that's a respect that goes, because there are greater artists than Beyonce of their time who, if you get nominated, you show up and you perform. But it's now at a stage where it's a power play, that it's a politics that she knows she's not going to win.
Who is she? Who is she?
Beyonce knows she's not winning. Like in the Grammys, part of the politics is that the agents know who's going to win. That's how they lobby. That's how the Grammys lobby for who's going to perform.
And that's why they don't show up if they're not. If they're like, Beyonce typically doesn't perform if she's not winning. So I thought it was interesting. But I hear you. I just wonder why film has this much clout. And I know that yes, there's a lot more money that goes into film production than music. But at the end of the day, I almost feel, I mean, I'm a filmmaker. I love film and all that. Film is not what it was even 5 years ago. It doesn't have the same impact. That's number one. Number two, it's almost, to me, they act as though, it's like going to like a presidential ball or something. Like they act as though at the end of the day, it's entertainment. Like I have respect for it and everything, but as I've also worked in politics and been to the presidential things, I understand the need for all the checks and balances. And I don't see, to me, it's a little bit pretentious because what are you, just even the whole process of like going to the Oscars and the restrictions, we're not dealing with heads of states. We're not dealing with, I mean, they're very famous, but I feel like it's this pretentiousness that it doesn't live up to it. It doesn't live up to it.
That's what it doesn't. The key, it doesn't live up to it, but that's exactly what it is. It's all pretense. But what you're doing is collective complicity in the pretense. Because what you're saying, at the end of the day, you're pretending to be something, that's acting, and you're doing it for my entertainment. Who cares? I've got other better things and more important things to do. But what they're doing is enforcing their importance by telling you how to see them as important. That's the Oscars. That's why they invented it. Because saying, oh yeah, we all act. But if we have something that, if you get this award, we're saying you're better than everyone else. And the minute you're better than everyone else, you earn more money. You get better work. People pay you more attention. And everybody else sees the way it changes your career. So that's how you build up the prestige of this award.
So here's the issue, though, because I come back to the pandemic and the fact that because of COVID, a lot of these films have not been watched. And also people haven't gone back into the routine of going into the movie theaters, right? So to be honest, half the films that were nominated, I hadn't even heard of them. And I'm a filmmaker, but I like to say I'm also like I'm about the digital landscape. So if it's not on Netflix, sometimes even if it's on HBO Max, I'm probably not going to watch it. Because where the world is right now, what the consumers want right now, it's really about free YouTube videos, free TikTok content. And then if we're going to sit and watch something, it's going to be a series. So like, I'm just saying film, I'm not saying I don't want to describe it like it's dying, because I don't think it's ever going to die. But I feel like it's almost going to be like a work of art that people appreciate, but I don't think that it has the same social relevance that it used to have. And because of that, the authority that the Academy used to have, because of the influence that they had in society, well, that is dwindling too. So then the question is about, where are we going to really respect what this award show, what you're telling us this award show is?
That's why, precisely so. That's why I say that the Oscars is like James Bond. There is no room in 2022 for a white man who saves the world. There's just no room for that. That's just not what people are going to the cinema to watch. Daniel Craig changed things because Daniel Craig was kind of rough and ready. He seemed like I might see him in an East End pub and he'd fit in. So that kind of brought it to a kind of grit and relevance, but he only bought it a certain length of time. But now they're scrambling. Do we put a black woman here? Moneypenny's black. You can't shoehorn being current into something that's vintage. And with the Oscars, the reason why I say I'm with the racist whites, and as far as Will Smith and Chris Rock being wrong, the Oscars is what it is. It's a fundamentally white fantasy. And the minute you opened your doors to black people, they had a fight. In the history of the Oscars, people will fight at after parties and so on. You brought yourselves here, and this is what you do. It's something that is unprecedented in the 94 years of this show. And think about all the kinds of things like your Joaquin Phoenixes, your Robert Downey Jr.'s, your Marlon Brandos, your Christopher Walkens, your Warren Beatty's. You have had badly behaved actors, but they get to that show and they behave.
Well, okay,
they behave.
I hate to push the narrative that you open up the doors to black people and it becomes I hear you where you're coming from, but I hate to push that narrative.
It doesn't matter to us. But I'm saying that
that's what they will say
is a window for that silver bullet.
I guess, which is fine, okay. But what I will say, the difference between, you know, all these various actors that you talked about in the past that come to the Oscars and they had to respect the Oscars is because they were the Academy, Hollywood were the gatekeepers of your success. They determined whether they can fix you or not. In today's media landscape, somebody like a Will Smith, who, number one, creates his own films, so he owns his own production company. He can go and build a studio. He can do all that if he wants. He owns his audience. There's no actor in Hollywood that is more relevant and entrepreneurial than Will Smith. Will Smith is the biggest YouTuber, the biggest Instagrammer, and the biggest TikToker. So he owns his audience, unlike everybody else in that room who has to wait for somebody to put them on. You see what I'm saying?
But do you see why then is it?
I just want to line and say that because of this level of confidence and this level of ownership, which is the key. Okay, I can't say everyone else in the room because Tyler Perry is also in that room, and Beyonce and all these other people. But in terms of actors, right, renowned actors, so a Will Smith is not the same as a Denzel, because Denzel didn't take the time to build up a social media following and become relevant to the youth. If you ask a 5-year-old who's Will Smith, they can tell you who he is because of his social media influence. And in addition to that, he very strategically, you know, implemented a very similar thing to what the Kardashians have done. So he has relevancy that has been spread amongst his family. Each and every one of them are their own celebrity. So when Jaden Smith, you know, tweeted and said, whatever, this is how we do it, it's almost like he got a celebrity endorsement. You know, even though it's his son and he's the one that built that for his son, it was still a separate celebrity endorsement. You know, you see, it's like, so they're, because of the unit, they're a famous family. They have all this, you know, impact and ownership. You can never cancel him.
Look, it's not about canceling him, because what I'm saying is this. Everything you said is bang on about Will Smith. But why does Will Smith want an Oscar so much? It's perception. The Oscars have built up a brand built on perception of greatness. It doesn't matter how big he becomes. He feels he hasn't made it yet until he gets that Oscar. Him not being nominated for Concussion bothered Jada so much because in their head, we've done what the work, we've given the performance, we want that Oscar. So for all he has, why does he want that Oscar so much? The politics of perception. That's the currency that the Oscars deal in. Because what the Oscars say is, if you get this, you're the best. And you're the different kind of best. You're a best that white people say you're the best.
Right.
Why is it that people don't care as much if they win a BET award as if they win a Grammy? Because unfortunately for the African-American community, until white people rubber stamp you, you're not there yet.
I won't say it's exclusive to the white American community. I think it's probably black people and society at large, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's that kind of thing. So with the Oscars, the Oscars is irrelevant. But what they've built is so powerful because it was built by the architects of Hollywood. So from the studio system to what we have now, and that thing is so ingrained where the greatest names in film are symbiosed with this Oscar thing. So now if I want to be the greatest, I want my name alongside theirs, I've got to get that golden statue. Like think about propaganda during war. Controlling the mind and thoughts of people is the greatest power you can have.
100%.
It's like in the UK, someone like Paul McCartney doesn't have to ever release another song again. The way they see you in the UK is all the currency you need till you die.
So I think that there's so many parallels between what you've described as the Oscar and like you said, politics and Ukraine. I even see it in how the media is pushing the Ukraine narrative. But because of the nature of social media, we're sort of like, as a society, rejecting that. I don't think there's as much opposition to the Oscars because I don't think that there's an elusiveness of it, right? They've created this archetype or whatever. They've created this thing, but they haven't told you how they did it, what they did it. All you know is look at the sun, and it's up there.
Precisely. So it's that thing where I can't understand what to do to get it. If I get it, I just become one of these special people. So it's that kind of, it's almost like the architecture of white supremacy.
This is literally what I was about to say right now. It's exactly the way white supremacy was built. Like, and I break this down in so many of my videos, but like white supremacy was built to be invisible. And it was built to make the protectors of it not even aware of their protection of it, but to instead and to point our fingers to whatever else. Let's look at, let's judge, let's protect it, defend this system, and point our fingers. And funny enough, when you draw the parallels, because media is the most impactful thing when you're in terms of controlling the mind. So not only does the American or Western news push that narrative of white supremacy, but so does the Oscars, and they all have to work together to be symbolisms of white supremacy or agents of white supremacy to continue to push that narrative, right?
Yeah, and that's why I say about perception, it's so terrifying, but also beautiful, because once you implant the perception, particularly in the minds of African Americans, you can just sit back and they perpetuate it amongst themselves. Coming back to the points that you said about, look at the way Black men are so viscerally reacting to Will Smith, because what you're doing is triggering them into identifying behaviors that were reflected in Chris Rock's behavior. You are in a world where to be a Black woman, part of your existence is it is open season on the way you look. You are the butt of the joke. You are open for humiliation. Do you know, people were talking about Ricky Gervais cracked these jokes and blah, blah. Ricky Gervais, when you look at his comedy, he will mock choices you've made, things you've done. Alcoholism is a choice. Drug addiction, you choose to take drugs, then you have a propensity to be addictive. The girlfriends Leonardo DiCaprio has, that's a choice. Being friends with Harvey Weinstein or Jeffrey Epstein, that's a choice. Making a bad movie, that's a choice. He won't go after the way you look. That's low-hanging fruit. He goes after who you are and what you do, which is why it's even more painful. But what these comics do is, like what Chris Rock did, is basically what opens the gates, gives sanction to everyone else to do. Because the gatekeepers to the respect and esteem of any female group is their men, because of the law of the jungle, the strongest will decide. So the men will dictate what's possible with our women. We see all the terrible stuff that happens to Arab women within their country. But you dare be an outsider and violate an Arab woman, they will crucify you. They're the gatekeepers. You would never disrespect an Arab woman because you know what would happen. Same as a white woman. But when the world is constantly being shown that these group of men bastardize their own women, it's open season on
100%. And so I go back to the Oscars 2016 and when he made that joke about Jada
says she's not coming, protesting. I'm like, is she on a TV show? Jada's gonna boycott the Oscars. Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited.
Look at the cameras didn't go to the men's reactions. It went to the white and Indian and, multiracial women's reactions. So they're even playing into these stereotypes, right? And this allows women of all races compare. That's why they say they always, there's this narrative that, these people take Black men from, but I don't necessarily agree with that sort of mentality, but it's in a way, it's like, it pushes the narrative that allows Black men to continue to abuse Black women and disregard them and elevate other races of women, right? That's really the problem.
This year at the Oscars, they were celebrating 50 years of Godfather, 30 years of Pulp Fiction, 60 years of James Bond. In No Time to Die, I live in the suburbs of North London. I was in a cinema filled with white people, obviously. And then the scene comes where they have this Black woman is going to be in James Bond. They've been touting. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to be like Grace Jones playing Mayday 2.0. And I'm excited. So then the scene comes where she finally speaks to James Bond and they have their first proper scene together. And what's the first thing that happens? A joke about her hair. And I'm sitting in the cinema.
In James Bond?
So she's this agent, spoiler alert, and she basically seduces him and goes back to his flat. And then she's very assertive sexually. And then she walks into his room and he just follows behind her. And then she turns around while she's standing in front of his bed and then takes off her wig. And then she goes, well, that's not the first thing I thought she'd take off. And the entire cinema erupts in laughter. And I'm just sitting there feeling like this small, that you've decided to put a Black woman in Bond as an agent, someone formidable, and you introduce her as the butt of the joke for her hair. And then I found out that a white woman wrote that script. So to have that, why would she have the audacity to do such a thing? Why does she feel that is not even necessary? It contributed nothing to the story or the plot. Why put that in? That is learned behavior. Where do they even get that language of comedy? From people like Chris Rock.
This is why I go.
That notorious video of when he's sitting in a room with Louis C.K., Ricky Gervais, and Jerry Seinfeld. And Louis C.K. and Ricky Gervais, I think it's Ricky Gervais, I can't be sure, don't quote me. They're saying the N-word repeatedly and cracking jokes about it. And Chris Rock is there and he's not challenging them on it. But for some strange reason, Jerry Seinfeld doesn't chime in. And then they kind of go to Jerry Seinfeld and he just says, I don't feel the need to use that word. And in that moment, you can see Chris Rock is aware of what he looks like, because it took the Jewish guy to let you know that this is wrong. But that's Chris Rock all over. He opens the door.
Where was this?
Must find that clip. But this was years ago.
White people are rich, they're just rich forever and ever. Even their kids are rich. Yeah. But when a black guy gets rich, it's countdown to when he's poor again.
He's the blackest white guy I fucking know. And then all the negative things we think about black people, this fucker.
You're saying I'm
Yes, you are the fucking white man I have ever.
Amazing. I don't think he could do that.
What?
I don't think he has those
There's
qualities.
only two. You don't even understand.
Really?
You don't really know him. Like, I've worked with him.
No, like your bit about.
I wouldn't use it anywhere.
No, exactly. These two.
We
use
say
that
on stage.
on stage.
You guys don't. That's an
That's
interesting
the
two teams
That's
here.
the difference between.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We
can
say
pair
on
up in
stage. You
different
guys
ways,
don't.
but that's definitely a pairing. Who
We
says
say
on stage? We don't.
Well, you just did.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
You and me say nigger in private.
No.
These two guys don't. I don't believe he says it in private.
I've given it up just because it's played.
I don't believe it's.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever said it probably in your life.
No,
I don't
never.
think. No. Yeah, that's it. That's the huge difference between you and me, I think.
Well,
That's what I've said
you
it.
found the humor of it.
Yeah.
I haven't found it.
Right.
Nor do I seek.
Wow. So he's just sort of, I see what you mean. So here's my issue with Chris Rock. Let's not forget that Chris Rock made a movie, Good Hair. And he in that movie, he went to India, he explored how wigs, black hair. So he understands the meaning of black hair and what it means to black women and what it means to their image. This idea that as black women, like, this is why my hair is natural. I haven't done anything wrong. I guess I bleached my hair. You could say that, whatever. But the idea about, like, as a black woman, I can't walk around just like this, as my hair is. It's right. It's unacceptable for me to be who I am. That's why black hair is a multi-billion-dollar business, because black women are made to feel insecure that they have to invest all their resources, which we're already underpaid. But then they put us further in more debt by making sure our money, our resources go into our hair, which majority of the time is owned by white men. These industries are making white men richer. So they've lied to us, told us that we're not acceptable the way that we are. And so that our money, a large percent of our money, is invested into white men further. So Chris Rock sort of understands this system. And for him to then use that knowledge and then attack Jada Pinkett, who, by the way, she's what they the quote unquote preference. That's what they even describe her as, a preference. Light skinned, blue eyes, but someone even like her is belittled? What happens to the naturally 100% black woman that we don't even see in those rooms?
But look at them. Look at just the optics of it. There's a black man standing in a room filled with a majority of white people saying, laugh at this black woman for how she looks.
Right.
That's what's so sick about it, because it's like, you've literally just said, it's almost like you've unleashed the dogs of war and said, attack.
But you see, it's learned behavior through slavery, right? Through slavery. That is how.
Master Happy, yes.
Right. This is behavior, and he may not even realize it. These black men that do this, but they're still perpetuating the behaviors, the systems that were built through slavery that don't come from me, come from my women. Because at the end of the day, slavery was a survival mentality, right? And it's better, and to anyone that's trying to survive, better him than me, better her than me. And so it's not just an issue with black women. It's also an issue with black men, because when it comes against it, the black men will still fight. And okay, I want to also address the fact that every 6 hours in America, a black woman is killed by a black man. And so just that thought that these black men are killing black women. And this is why, to me, when I see the reaction from black men, because they have not been taught, they do not understand how to protect their women.
No, that's why I differ. They do. This is the key to it. Like when they say, when you see in all the movies, when someone new joins a gang, the first thing they want you to do is kill someone, because the mentality of that is that now your hands are dirty too, so we can trust you. That's when cops go undercover into deep cover, they've got to do something. So they look, I'm a criminal too. So with this kind of situation, what you have is, it's almost like the Uncle Tom mentality, that I will get white sanction if I bash black people, but I'm too scared to bash a black man because physically he can take me on. So pick on the weakest, bash the weakest, and everyone's going to approve, because it's almost like you don't want to be on the bottom. So who can I step on? So I'm not at the bottom. So step on black women. You wouldn't dare do it to anyone else because they're protected. And the key about the way people are the black men that are reacting the way they do, it's about shame. When you're in a situation where a black man does the right thing, he shows that it's possible to do the right thing, which highlights the fact that you've chosen not to do the right thing. And that makes you feel bad, which goes to the point I was saying about gangs. You have to all be guilty together, then you feel comfortable. The minute one person steps out of line, it exposes you and you don't trust him. So that's why attack Will Smith. So there was like that point that it was, the boxer that has the money team, what's it, Mayweather. He was on Drink Champs with his son. And obviously his son is mixed race. And what's the name of the host with a Latin sounding name?
Noriega or something.
He then sees his son, because Mayweather's very proud, and he goes, "Oh, you've got that good hair."
Yeah, he seriously got good hair too. He got good hair.
No, because there's colorism when we say that. He's saying Becky with the good hair. So if Becky got the good hair, then what?
Someone's got the bad hair.
Well, who got the bad hair? Because the opposite of good is bad. Right. So once again, that's colorism.
And instantly, Mayweather nipped it in the bud, and he says, "Don't do that. Don't tell my son stuff like that. Because if he's got good hair, what's bad hair? Who's got the bad hair?" And then you could literally see the face like of Noriega, where he was trying to laugh it off, like, calm down, man. Mayweather was not having it. What is it? Like, don't put that stuff in my son's head. But that kind of perpetuation of Becky with the good hair, then what's bad hair? Bad hair is your own people's hair, which is it's so defunct and twisted. But coming back to the actual thing about the Oscars, everyone's is starting to notice that everyone's talking about how they feel about what Will Smith did. No one's feeling sorry for Chris Rock, because that strikes as a victim, because that strikes at the heart about how people feel about Chris Rock. Because right now, no white celebrity wants to touch this. They're just like, let's see how it plays out, black on black crime. So it's about black. And so for all the black conversation, it's about how you feel about Will Smith. There's a lot of bad feeling towards Chris Rock for a lot of things he has done and said over the years. Like when he said that his best friend is white. He doesn't trust black people with his money. He said some spectacular stuff throughout the years. And he's with that whole, again, I'm going to help you find that video with the whole N-word thing with the comedians. There's a way people feel about him, but it's never been addressed because they want to see black people in the higher echelons. But now when things get elemental and it's the law of the jungle now, he's beginning to understand the way people feel about you, really, that even when you're a victim of assault, they're not really going to stand by.
No one's going to root for you. So actually, the people that I have seen supporting Chris Rock are black men, especially, I wouldn't say all black men. I think there's a divide. They're the black men that are like, protect our women. They're the black men that haven't been taught to protect our women. And, those are the ones that I see attacking.
And I think I've seen a lot of comedians, but I identify as that they're not defending Chris Rock because they feel sorry for Chris Rock. They're defending Chris Rock because they know if Will Smith gets away with this, it's open season on us as comedians. So I know the kind of things I say in my stand-up, people are going to be slapping me left, right, and center. That's why they're defending Chris Rock.
Well, 100%, like, to be on a professional level, to me, what Will Smith did was unacceptable. Just completely unhinged. This is him. He was performing. You're an actor. You're an actor. Imagine you're doing a performance on stage and somebody comes and punches you. It's ridiculous. So I understand why people are upset with Will Smith, but I don't feel as though he needs to be canceled. And also there's an added pressure that he's already been the butt of the joke, for the past 2 years, his marriage, all of that. So everyone has always been coming for him. So they're just always ready. The people that call him a simp, they're just ready to ridicule him. They're ready to come after him, which I don't support that. But I do acknowledge that it was extremely unprofessional of him, extremely unhinged, and that I don't think there's any place for that sort of thing.
That's why I said, that's why I have to say, based on how I feel, which is that way, that's how the white racist gatekeepers of the Oscars feel, that don't bring that mess to here.
Which is fine.
We didn't want you here in the first place, because this is the first time we open doors completely open, you do something like this, which has never been done before.
So it reminds me of the deaf man that won the Oscar for the movie. I think it was called Coda. Right. So, and he mentioned going to the White House and he wanted to teach Joe Biden curse words. And to me, on one regard, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Why not? Like, it's cool. Like, he's a human, whatever. We can laugh about stuff like that, right? But on the other side, it's like, well, this is the leader of the free world. It's kind of disrespectful to the office to have such conversations, and so in that regard, it's like, it's also ties into this idea of the perception of politics and what is acceptable to do in certain settings and how rules can be broken depending on the individual that holds that office. Like, Donald Trump does not garner the same respect, as your typical white man, just because of he has sort of destroyed the image or his image. And then I think about also Barack Obama when he was in office, and I think Gary Vaynerchuk said he went to meet him and he was calling him Barack, and they told him absolutely not. You're not going to call him Barack, But like, would he have done that if he was sitting with a white president? So
even look at what's happening with Ketanji. I've forgotten her last name, the Supreme Court nominee.
Right.
The kinds of questions that they've asked her have blown my mind, literally blown my mind. And it's like, how would she even get to that chair, Tucker Carlson and whoever else that person was, if she wasn't qualified? She wouldn't even be in that chair.
And she's far more educated, qualified, and all the things.
She's more educated than 4 of the current Supreme Court judges combined. She's more qualified than them.
Imagine.
So, again, it just gets to me that between that and all the other stuff that I've been seeing this year with the Bond movie, with her, with now what's happening, what they've said about Serena Williams, that dumb comment that Jane Campion made, where just for you to say thank you for your award and get lost. But no, for me to be elevated, I must push you down. What have you got to do with Serena Williams and Venus? Just leave them alone and you've won. Take your award and go home. But it's that mentality that it's open season on Black women, and it's okay if I do something like that. That's just the hard wiring people have. And Where did it come from? It comes from the lineage of people like Chris Rock, people like that Kevin Samuels chap, where in your life, because there's a kind of fear of insignificance, you have to feel you're better than someone. So you pick this target and bash it and bash it. How on earth does the entire music industry know that a man is raping children? But because those children are Black females,
They
he
let it
gets away
go.
with this for almost 30 years.
R. Kelly.
It's incredible. There is literally a video of him doing it. But because the victim wouldn't come forward, you can't try a crime with no victim. And so everybody said, well, they said it was innocent. So it's like, what are you doing? But then make just one of those people a white girl, he'd probably be dead by now.
And that was the conversation. Like, if Will Smith had gone up to punch a white man, the whole Oscars would have been an uproar.
It's over. Then that's the key thing where you said, I completely agree with you. It was a performance on Will Smith. He was already in the zone. Like, everyone knew he was a shoo-in to win. When Chris Rock cracked that joke initially, he did the normal, like, laugh it off. Everybody, I don't take myself too seriously. He then turned and saw his wife's face. And in that moment, I believe he tweaked that she's probably said stuff to him about 2016.
Oh, 100%.
She said stuff about stand up for me and like the problems they've had in their marriage and what she's wanted from him that he's failed to give her. She says it on Red Table Talks, for God's sake, that the things he's failed to give her and understand about her. And in that moment, he saw her face and says, like, wait a second. The whole world is watching my wife be humiliated. And I'm laughing. It was about it, and I'm laughing. I've got to over make up for this. And he took it too far. So my situation with that is that with Will Smith, what you've done, ironically, like Tiffany Haddish said, it's impressive to see it done, but it's just the wrong location, the wrong time, and the wrong execution. Because if you really wanted to make a statement, take her by the hand, stand up and walk out. Everyone will be talking about it. That's, oh, he walked out. Did you see what he walked out? Let the imagination do the work for you. Say nothing and just walk out. And the perfect thing to do is do White Girl 101. Jada Pinkett, start crying. Just start crying. Just crocodile tears yourself to the max. And then people go out. Oh my God, that would be master.
Oh my God, Judy, because like they always expect a Black woman, you have to take the pain, you have to take it and be strong. And I love the whole social media thing is like, I don't want to be strong. I don't want to have to be strong. I'm a lady of leisure. That's sort of like the energy with Black women. Like, I don't want to have to be
because
strong.
You said, I don't know whether it was Viola Davis or Octavia Spencer, someone like that, who said that, no, don't bring strong Black woman to me. I'm not strong. I look at me, I'm not strong. Because when you labeled me as strong, it gives you a get out clause to not defend me when I need it. Because I'm strong, I'll take care of it. Yeah. It's like, no, don't brand me with that. Anybody who calls me strong Black woman, I always correct. I say, don't put that on me. Look at me, I can't fight. I would be terrible in a fight. So where does that come from? What strength have I got? I have no upper body strength. I couldn't do a pull-up if you trained me for the next year. So it's all of these tropes that that's what I would say to the Oscars, that when you want inclusion, you include everything. If you want to really let Black people in, you take all of us. And that moment was so much deeper with so many more levels than a guy cracked a joke about hurt someone with alopecia. And then there was so much more work. Every Black woman around the world instantly got it.
And even women, even just women in general, women in general.
Most people, they wouldn't. No. This is something you need to point out. That hair joke.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
Yeah, why would a white female writer write the gag in James Bond? It's not until people start drumming it home that that's wrong. Like, look at the face of Anjanou Ellis. Look at Miss Pauletta's face next to Denzel Washington. All those people get it. But the biggest thing that really messed me up, this is the one that really messed me up, was Denzel Washington.
Why?
Why Denzel Washington? Like, when you see Denzel Washington's face where he was teary-eyed and doing him winning and so on. And look at the comment he even made to Will Smith, whereas at your highest point is when the devil will come for you. There are only two people on earth who know how high the stakes are as a Black man at the top in Hollywood. Sidney Poitier and Denzel Washington. Every other Black actor has never gotten to that place. Do you know what it means think about Pelican Brief, where they wanted you to play the love interest of Julia Roberts at that time? The woman from Pretty Woman and Steel Magnolias and Mystic Pizza. She's the beauty of the day. She's the Ava Gardner, the Elizabeth Taylor. She's the one. And they were willing to let you be the love interest. And he said, no, he's not comfortable with that.
Who is this?
Denzel Washington.
Right.
Because
okay.
when you watch Pelican Brief, it seems odd that why the hell is there no love story? Because he said he didn't want it. Because when they interviewed him later, he said he knew Black women are my biggest fan base. And I didn't want to do something to disrespect them. And in that moment, that thing where every choice you make is high stakes, you've got to be thinking 10 steps ahead. Look at everything, the games being played at your expense. Look at it. In the history of time, there's a legacy where for African Americans, and I believe for all Black people, there must always be a great Black hope standing. Because unfortunately, we need one. Sidney Poitier began something we never thought would be possible. They identified his heir apparent, which was Denzel. Denzel has not failed. But why is it has taken so long to find his heir apparent? Because ever since him, only 3 contenders have come up. Mahershala Ali, Chadwick Boseman, and Will Smith. It can't be Chadwick Boseman, he passed away. But Chadwick Boseman was the ideal age because he had decades in him. He was the ideal age. That's probably why Denzel invested in him. It can't be Mahershala Ali because you don't have a long enough pedigree. You haven't been in the game and at that top level of the game with the star power. Because as they say, there are actors and there are movie stars. And then rarely you get people who are both. That's Sidney Poitier, that's Denzel. Mahershala Ali is an actor. He's not a movie star.
What about Michael B. Jordan? Michael B. Jordan
doesn't have the acting chops.
Okay, fair enough. He doesn't.
The guy is a movie star. He's not an actor. He could never execute the kinds of films that Mahershala Ali does, ever. What you have with Will Smith is potentially a doubleheader, but he's never given the performance necessary to prove it. He came close with Concussion, but the Nigerian accent was terrible. This was the movie. King Richard was the movie. And that's why Denzel, because look at the nature of this award season. On the red carpet, Denzel is like, I'm passing the torch. They're joking on the red carpet because Denzel knows what's happening, that this is the movie. Because the minute you get an Oscar, you're in that conversation with them. And he can finally say, this is the guy. I'm going to back off now. This is the guy.
And Will Smith lost it by his actions. He lost it.
Because that's the key about high stakes. Once you're in that position with Sidney Poitier and Denzel, you can never put a foot wrong. Sidney never did. Denzel never has. Thus far, Will Smith never had. And then you do this. So when you see Denzel's face, that's grief at loss. Because he knows because that's the weight of the Black community. When you're seeing all the memoirs about Sidney Poitier, he carried the Black community on his back and was like, I know no other actor has to deal with this pressure, but I'll take it and I'll carry it and I'll do it. Like that choice I brought about Pelican Brief, Denzel knew it, he took it and he carried it. So now it was like, you're the one. And for you to do this, it means you don't get it. It doesn't matter what happens, you don't fail.
I think I hear you, but I think the times have changed. I think what we require has changed. It's like the conversation about people not caring about the Oscars. Movies themselves are declining, right? Yes, it's the high stakes are, yes, it's like looking at a piece of art and saying, wow, the Van Gogh and blah, blah, blah. Yes, I get that from that perspective. But to the basic average man who doesn't care about watching a Dunes in a movie theater and wants to watch it on their phone, which this is what the Gen Zers are doing. They watch these things on their cell phones. They don't watch it on even computers. They don't care.